Hi, friends. This is Miss Fern. Today we're going to talk about sharing and about the early church. And in a little bit, I'm going to use some yarn and twine and some popsicle sticks. So if you have those handy, that would be great. Now, when the coronavirus came, things everywhere seemed to shut down. Our schools closed, the church building closed, even though we still had services. And stores, a lot of stores closed, and if you could get to the store, you might find that it didn't have all the food or supplies that you needed. And that's how it was for our neighborhood here. But we all tried to talk to each other and find out what each other needed. And I found out that my neighbor right across the way here that they couldn't find milk. So when I was out, I found milk and brought it to them, and they were so happy. And then I couldn't find eggs. And my neighbor right over here, she found eggs and brought me a whole dozen. And then she needed some soap to wash her dishes, and I was able to find that and bring it to her. So we've all been working together. We've been making muffins and bread and pies and sharing them and talking together even more than we did before. And that's been a really wonderful thing that's happened lately. It reminds me a lot of the early church, those early believers of Jesus. When they came together, they shared their food and their money. They took care of each other. And if they found out someone didn't have something that they needed, they would get it for them. Or if they found out that there was a group that was being left out, then someone else would speak up for them and make sure that they were taken care of. They they were stronger because they were together. They were working together. And it's a good reminder that the early church, that our church today, it's not about the building that we might meet in. It's about the people coming together as a community to love God and Jesus. And I like to think about how we as a family or community can be even more like that early church. Um, they shared things, they also prayed, and they studied and learned about Jesus. Maybe you have some Bibles, and you can read a story and learn more about God and Jesus. Or maybe you can say a prayer to thank God for food before a meal. Or at the end of the day, you can tell God about your day and your thoughts about tomorrow. Maybe you have things in your house that you don't need anymore that you can share with someone. Maybe you have clothes that you've outgrown and someone else could use them. Or maybe you have books or toys that you could share with someone who needs something. You could even collect money for your church or for a food bank, and that would help a lot. So find ways to be more together, to be stronger together as a family and as a community. And a good example of this is our yarn and popsicle sticks here. So if I just take one popsicle stick, I can bend it pretty well. But if I take two or three popsicles or more and put them together, they're really strong. And that's kind of like the early church or our church. Um, when we're together as a community, we're stronger and can do more together. If you have some yarn or some rope or twine, you can try this too. Take a look at it and see how that yarn and twine is built. It's really strong, but if you start untwisting it, and if you have some, you can try this too. Untwist it, and you'll see that it's really made up of smaller strands, and then each smaller strand is made up of smaller groups, and then each one of these is made up of individual fibers. And these fibers are wonderful, but they're not that strong on their own. I can pull them apart. But when they're all together in this rope, really bound together, they have a lot of strength. And the same is the way that's the same way most yarn is put together. Um, some groups of fibers make up a larger group, and then those larger groups are bound together, and then you get a really strong piece of yarn that can be used for amazing things. So this week, try to find ways to be stronger together so you can do amazing things. You can help each other, look out for each other, and be joyful and thank God for all the good things in your lives. I'm really glad to be with you today and to be part of God's church with you.